the list we got today is brought to us by ETB Jesus. I'm pretty sure it's a list that someone in the Discord said Frank K originally ran. It's been kind of showing up in challenges and 5-0 dumps a little bit over the last few weeks. And some of the notable inclusions that kind of differentiate this list from some of the others running around is the one of copy of Murktide Regent in the main, along with a couple copies of Preordain. So a little more threat heavy, a little more dig for answers heavy, a little less reliant on like your force negations cutting down to 3, subtlety, counter spell only playing 3. So 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Fatal Push, 2 Preordain to really like fuel out Murktide if you happen to run into it. Still have a lot of the backbone of the deck, so Psychic Frog, Bowmasters, Kaito, Quantum Riddler, decent amount of free spells, but giving up a little bit of reactivity for a little more proactivity. In the sideboard, 3 copies of Harbinger Seas for Eldrazi, for Amulet Titan, a couple Mystical Disputes, a Stern Scolding, 3 Consigned to Memory instead of 4, but we do have the 3 copies of Harbinger of the Seas, 2 Toxic Deluge, Engineered Explosives, 2 Ghost Vacuums, and a second copy of Kaito, Bane of Nightmares. So we'll see how this rolls. I know that Minguchi did his like Sunday Murktide video on this list. So there's definitely some content about it out already if you haven't seen that video. We'll see if we can match or beat his league. Some of the things I'm not hugely fond of when it comes to this list. I don't mind cutting back on force negation. I think that if you're not on like 2 Kaito, it's less necessary. 4 Thoughtseize is a little rough. Like cutting force negation for a card that's not good into Boros energy is a little bit of a tough sell. The 3 counterspell instead of 4, I'm not completely against, but I really like having that late game kind of safety net of drawing the counterspell and just get to deal with whatever off the top. And then Tamiyo. I've been a little bit unimpressed with Tamiyo recently. Not great into Boros, not great into Affinity that's really popular at the moment. Is good into like Storm and Belcher and stuff like that. So it's got some good matchups. I just feel like it doesn't have the greatest time into the most popular matchups at the moment. All right, Arid Mesa Go. Well, now that I picked up this Spell Snare, I'm probably doing that. Just thinking if there's any reason I want to like sit on Tamiyo this turn. Be better into like a dashed Ragavan. All right, so not Boros. Profane Tutor. Is this Necro? Not a great hand into Necro. Been to Profane Tutor. Alright, let's try to dig for a Black Source. Need like Black Source, Force Negation, Counter Spell. They have basic Mountain, so maybe it's not Necro. What would be playing Profane Tutor? Oh, is it just like Rakdos Reanimator? Alright, I have literally no idea. My gut feeling is some sort of Rakdos Reanimator, and they're just like Profane Tutor for extra ways of finding like a reanimate target. But I think I'm just going to sit on Spell Snare Counter Spell here. since most of the reanimate spells are like the good ones are like persist and Goryos that spell snare can answer. So I kind of rather try to hit land drops, like get a surveil, not fight over this profane tutor. Dawn, what's up? We are in fact frogler. I can have a counter spell. Yeah, this has got to be some sort of like fair reanimator shell. Creativity, that could be a good call. Is Rakdos creativity a thing? Flashback looting. Do I have any interest in trying to crack a clue and force of negation this? Probably not. Gristlebrand, Raph, and Mikey. Persist, in fact, does not get those cards back. Let's go Shockin', Watery Grave, Psychic Frog, so I can hold up double black for my 2 Fatal Push in case I get like Dwarven Mine here, untap another Dwarven Mine. Not a Dwarven Mine. Then a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Well, that's probably not good for me. Raph and Mikey attack. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest in the bottom in a random order. Let's see what get off this. And you don't have to sacrifice this at the end of the turn or anything. Alright, well, I have to block here or I die, so... What does Raph and Mikey do? Apparently, like, creativities into another creature, but puts it on the battlefield, tapped and attacking. But then Raph and Mikey's gonna go away, but unfortunately I don't have a way. Because this list is running Shoot the Sheriff, it's not running Shieldred's Edict. So I don't have a way of getting this Emrakul off the battlefield. Yep. All right. So Rakdos. We know Goryo's. We never saw creativity, so maybe creativity. You can sign the Mikey trigger. You can, but typically my game plan against decks like this is to not let them get the big thing into play in the first place. So I don't want to be like boarding with the intention of trying to stop the big thing after they get it into play. Because that's very hit or miss. Like, what if they had Goryo's the Gristle brand instead of the Mikey? Then Consign would be completely dead. So it's just like a more universally impactful game plan to go after stopping them from getting the thing into play to start with. I would prefer some piece of card advantage, but I got a lot of draws. Got a lot of filtering, got a lot of draws. Pretty good. Please don't Veil Summer me. Start attacking these Fables. They do have Dwarven Mind, so it is kind of confirmed creativity. This is also a hand that if I can find a Harbinger, I just like lock them out of the game. Come on, Harbinger. Right on time. You're so good at Magic. Well, we did board 3 of them in for a reason. You know what? I'll go for speeding up this clock. Make this a 3-turn clock instead of an 8-turn clock. It's like they would have to hit the basic literally right last turn. And I don't even think like hitting the basic does that much. They can like Shieldred's Edict, the Quantum Riddler. That's like it. So I'm definitely not getting rid. Definitely not letting that resolve. Nice. Wonder how many basic mountains they're running. What are the percentage odds there? I want EE over the consign. Should I be playing counter magic in my RCQ this weekend? Well, that depends. Do you want to win? What would you say are your top, say, 3 options? Good draw. Venue. A mono blue Tron smile. Mono blue Tron profit. Them binning this fatal push kind of makes me think that they're like digging for a land. Profane Tutor. All right. I don't want to get got by faithless looting Goryos this turn, so I'm not going to play out the frog. I also kind of want this I want this Profane Tutor to resolve before I play the Harbinger, so they're less likely to go tutor up like a basic swamp or something. List you're playing: Sultai Living End, Esper Reanimator, Esper Blink, Sultai Death Shadow, and Titanless. What the hell is Titanless Titan? You're just out here making up decks now. Ooh. All right, now we gotta think. They've got a Profane Tutor coming off suspend. So it's fairly safe to say that they can get whatever piece they're missing from the Profane Tutor. Like if they have a Goryo's in hand, they just get like a Thoughtseize. If they've got Creativity in hand, they could get a fetch land. So what lets me play around the most options? Like I could fetch up Swamp, play Harbinger. But they could Profane Tutor for basic Swamp if they already have a Goryo's in hand. I could hold up Sink into Stupor. Yeah, like Frog Ghost Vacuum deals with Goryo's, but definitely doesn't deal with Creativity. And it's like I mentioned with the Profane Tutor coming off suspend, they have the ability to tutor whatever missing piece they need. Plus they have a draw step. What if I just like shock in Watery Grave, pass? They Profane Tutor for a Thought Seize effect. Sink into Stupor can answer. Like, they Thought Seize my Spell Snare. Sink into Stupor can still answer Goryos, because they would only have 3 mana. We're going to do that. Because I really want them to not get a basic swamp off of this Profane Tutor, so that I can try to get the Harbinger lockout. Hold that. What is your take? I was going to say, I feel like if you can't go for Goryos this turn, you kind of have to take the Harbinger. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and Ghost Vacuum the Gristlebrand right now, so I don't get into a war fighting over that. And hope that opponent does not have a creativity. Okay. Very rude. Why did they shock in for that and not attack? It's not bad. What would you shock in for? Just like another fatal push. If they just saw like all 4 fatal pushes, that'd be kind of rough. No discards. Yeah. Go ahead and take the double block. Exile my own Harbinger. Or do I want Quantum Riddler? Play Harbinger. And this list only has 2 Surveils. Yep. The Edict. If you want to go after Thoughtseize, that's fine. All right. Big draw step. No payoffs on your side. Find the land on our side. Kind of creativity. That is the opposite of no big payoffs. That is the 100% opposite of no payoffs. All right, so now we're just dead. All right, well, we could have played, what was it, the Frog Ghost Vacuum early, since they didn't have the creativity, but I feel like our play lined us up to do some pretty good stuff. Gross top deck, indeed. I mean, it's kind of what happens when, like, you're cutting Counterspell and Force of Negation. Like, you make yourself weaker to top deck non-creature spells. And I would say it's not a knock on this list, because at the end of the day, like, the list is catered to the matchups that you want to see. And I don't think anybody's planning for, like, Rakdos creativity Goryos. So it's fine. But I do think it's ironic that you lose some percentage points against, like, the open part of the meta, the unknown part, when you cut Shieldred's Edict instead of, like, Shoot the Sheriff, Force Negation, Counterspell, and then you run into a deck where, like, all 3 of those things were extraordinarily relevant. Dimir Flash has all the answers. I mean, so does pretty much every other Dimir list. Like, every list I've been running with a bunch of Kaito and whatnot is on Shieldred's Edict, 3 Force Negation, 4 Counterspell. While opponent's waiting, I'm going to grab my phone charger. To grab my phone charger like I don't just have a cable laying on the ground. Oh. Vexing Bauble. Opponent, you're not stream sniping, are you? Like, land, tank, 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 Vexing Bauble. I don't actually think they are, but... They're just double queued. All right. Well, if you've got double or natural Tron plus the Vexing Bauble. Frog. See, why would you ever cut this card from your blue-black list? Literal free wins. You know what happens there on Flash? You pass the turn and you throw down a Wan Shi Tong for 0. And your opponent goes, oh, that's cool. Whatever. Another matchup where Shieldred's Edict is better than Shoot the Sheriff because Ugin, Karn the Great Creator, not having to pay ward against Sire of Seven Deaths. Yeah, but then we untap and field them. Well, we didn't have third land, so we wouldn't have magically had the third land in Flash. I work with the known information here. Give me a talisman or a mind stone. No, just it is not giving me a talisman or a mind stone. Kozilek's command for 0. Is this a sign of weakness? Do I just want to spell snare this? Kind of. I feel like that's got to be a sign of weakness. Oh yeah, no third land drop. You want a K command, second K command in response to this. Oh, even better. They were tanking on like the main deck or main phase Mind Stone. Best card in their deck, and they're casting it for the least amount of value imaginable. Yeah, weakness. Well, there's always the chance that they just have like 3 K commands in hand and they're just doing something. Like maybe their third land is a waste or whatnot. And they're trying to just like give themselves a chance of drawing into third Tron land or drawing into an Ugin's Lab or an Eldrazi Temple to play a 4-drop on 3. And they're just like Kozilek's command flooded. I don't think that would be the right play, but just realm of possibilities going on here. And then like how bad would it be if they untapped and they did have a third land, like they did have land 4-drop and I tapped off of Counterspell. But I think more often than not, I'm probably casting it there. What do we got for round 3? I would love to play first. I would love to keep this hand. So, like, in this case, the Tamiyo's in my list is over, like, Force of Negation, Subtlety, Shieldred's Edict. What are the likelihoods? I would rather have one of those cards. The fuck is this? 0/4 flyer. Tap, put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. 3 until end of turn, this creature's base power and toughness becomes equal to the number of towns you control. I'm assuming that second part is just completely irrelevant text. But tap, put a land into play is terrifying. I mean, I think I just have to jam a frog here. If they've got land Kozilek's command, or like land, put a land into play Kozilek's command, I'm pretty dead this game. But if I pass back and they just like pass to me, then I'm not playing out frog next turn either. So I'd rather go like shields down right here than go shields down for the next like 3 turns. All right. We're definitely throwing stuff into frog to kill this UFO. It's just everything but counterspell. Or no, I should have discarded spell snare and kept the land. They tutor up a land, put it into play for free. That's cool. I assume if they had Tron... Never mind. Well, this Ugin or this Ulamog is going to be a little difficult. Let's go to game 2. I've never seen this card before. It just wrecked my entire existence. There's no way I'm bringing in Stern Scolding for that thing, right? He has some crazy sideboard options. Well, I believe it. After seeing that UFO game 1, I feel like nothing's off the table. All right, fortunate to dodge the UFO here. Don't mind hitting another blue spell here. Now I have like a free force pitch that isn't Harbinger. So if they go like Kozilek's Command here, I've got force. This, my friends, is why it's good to have a plan. Oink. And I think next turn I'm just going to play second Harbinger instead of Kaito, just to try to keep myself from getting in a spot where I just like lose to Dismember. Like, it's going to be a 2-turn clock from here regardless. Next turn I can attack for 6, just like hard cast Kaito, and then attack for lethal the turn after. I think like the only way I lose is if he's got an answer to a Harbinger, and then untaps and plays some big stupid thing like another Kozilek's Command. I think I want to change up much. I don't think I can keep a 1-lander. All right. Anything about a map on 1? Thought Knot Seer. When this creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card, then you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. I think we're just going to counter this. Seems like a good enough value target that I don't want to deal with. Now, please don't Kozilek's command me. Sweet. So many expedition maps. All right, they didn't have Kozilek's command last turn, so I'm going to try to set up Tamiyo buying back Consigned to Memory. Two, 4, 6, 7 for Eldrazi. Yeah. All right, so let's go Cling to Dust, see what we draw. I believe that I am in Tamiyo ult territory. I take up Tamiyo this turn. And if they just like recast the Devourer, I can consign the Devourer trigger, counter the Devourer itself, and then like take up Tamiyo again next turn. And just hope that I like dodge something on their next turn that exiles Tamiyo. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to check. Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So let's take All Is Dust. There are ways off of Ugin. And I've got Counterspell anyway, so we're going to hope that they don't top deck away to cast trigger exile Tamiyo. Yoink. Opponent, I would like to draw quite a few cards. We have another Consign. We do, so I can just go basic Swamp Harbinger. Go. Up Tamiyo, we'll just attack, play land, cast a really big Murktide. I guess I can Thought Seize too and hold up whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's a Murktide. Go crazy. Next turn we can play Frog, discard a bunch, grow the Murktide to lethal. When it got a basic Forest, which would be pretty good if it weren't for the fact that we got 73,000 counter spells up. These Riddlers are never drawing two. Well, you can play a Frog, discard 20 cards, and then Warp Riddler. Draw 2. I love Tamiyo. I'm a big Tamiyo fan in general. I don't think it's great at the moment, just because of like how extremely popular Boros and Affinity are. What a top deck from the opponent, honestly, too. So lucky we had the one counter spell. Well, that's Tron for you. Make a billion mana and just hope that any top deck wins you the game. I feel like I got a piece of pepper stuck between my teeth. Let's see, Lucas F. Martinez, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. Appreciate you coming around and hanging out. Checking out some Frog action. See what we got for round 4. Have you tried Azorius Murktide so we can play Wrath? I have not. I'm hoping you mean Esper, but like blue-white base instead of blue-black base and Splash Frog, because Frog. That's what I assume you're meaning. I don't know what I'm up against, but we can be like a Solitude Ephemerate Riddler deck with Murktide. Well, like, the whole Solitude Ephemerate Riddler part doesn't really play very well with Murktide, because you're casting a bunch of stuff that doesn't go to your graveyard, and most of those are not instants or sorceries. I don't want both of these things. Looks like did get shifted up. For whatever reason, like on the Streamlabs page, sometimes I'll go to move the screen around and it'll just like drag the entire thing. So when I start up a stream, for example, I'll go to like open up the chat window and this block will get dragged over with it and just like block part of the screen, and it's a pain in the ass. Now I have to like resize it to the right point. There we go. It's a pain. Son of a bitch. Stop doing that. Shuffle that away. I want that Murktide, but... Or I want that Riddler. I think I kind of want to Thought Seize because I don't know if this is Storm or, yeah, Jeskai Blink or whatever. Just be a white base where you're like pending March, then is your removal over the black spells. It's possible you could go that route. My biggest gripe about those builds is that it's really a pain to make sure like everything lines up the right way, if that makes any sense. Because like having March and pending is your removal into Warped Quantum Riddler really sucks. Are they top deck Ophelia? Path to Exile. You see what you started? This is why we can't have nice things. Tyrannosaurus taxes Washington now. Are we though? I don't feel like I'm there. I think I'm going to bank on finding an answer to this Flage. Open prey status. Their hand is Flage, Discharge, Arena, Unknown. No longer an unknown. All right, so if I just play a really big Murktide, they escape Flage, attack. Escape Flage, target the Murktide, attack, target the Murktide, discharge, kill the Murktide. And I take a bunch, so not really a reason to do that. A Murktide answers Flage. It does not when they have a Galvanic Discharge that we know about. Dang. Boo on me for not taking that Path to Exile earlier, I guess. Or that Solitude. They are giving me an out here if I can just like draw an answer to the Flage here. All right, I'm just gonna pass back and hope they have to discard a bunch of stuff to hand size here. If they have the consign, it is what it is. Looks like they do. Opponent back up to a nice 7 cards, 8 cards. Counterspell, 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 counterspell. Who? You don't say, deck. March of Otherworldly Light, second Casey Jones, Quantum Riddler gone. When it is attacking with Casey Jones. Casey Jones is dying. Murktide Regent is living. Quantum Riddler is being found off the top. When it has got a whole lot of nothing. It is fetching, putting themselves dead on board. And the answer to what is the top deck is... something. Another Casey Jones. Felia, Blink, Murktide. Well, it's not ideal, but we do just have hard cast Riddler next turn. Take out Ragavan. Like, on the list of problematic top decks, Felia is fairly low. Yeah, we'll attack in. All right. I need you to brick, opponent. You did not top deck a Flage. Get out of here. Weren't they dead to casting the card in our graveyard? No, we didn't have enough instants and sorceries to exile. We could only grow it by 3. In the turn before, when we warped the Quantum Riddler, we didn't have enough to escape the cling. Their top decks, Felia into Flage. Good times. Good times. Jordan looking a little mid. I mean, like the Casey Jones didn't look great, but they did have to have a string of like pretty hot draws to get out of that. Second arena mattered. The Felia mattered to reset our Murktide, and then obviously the Flage. Like we had some good draws in there too. Rough when you die to top deck Splinter Twin. Yeah, like I've got personally I've got Arena of Glory pretty high up on my list of cards that I think ultimately need to go from the format. I think that card is very, very problematic. People look at you with a straight face and say Arena is fine. Well, I'll look at them with a crooked face and say, no, no, it's not. Went to check your stream VOD the other day and it wasn't there. Did you delete it? No, I don't delete my VODs. They get taken down for copyright restrictions. Because if I play any sort of background music, it just automatically deletes everything. Or automatically like removes them from the public viewing. And I've tried everything I can do to avoid that, and it just does not do anything relevant. So this is the joy of content creation that nobody talks about. No matter what route I take, it's wrong to some people. So if I don't play background music to have VODs up, people will complain that there's no background music. If I go back and play background music, but there's no live VODs, people will complain that there's not VODs. If I take the background music down, people say they want the background music. If the movie or the VOD gets removed because of the background music, they say just figure it out, forehead. Like, just make it work. Do you use OBS? So I used OBS for a while, and I swapped over to Streamlabs because Streamlabs is more streamlined for dual streaming to Twitch and YouTube. Because again, people complained that I wasn't streaming on YouTube simultaneously, but I would have issues with the stream staying up on YouTube. It would just like constantly drop for no reason. So I stopped doing that so I could go back to OBS, but I really just don't want to sit here and like adjust every day over and over again. Why not play Bowmasters to have it die to Flage for Revolt? What if they don't target the Bowmasters? What if they just shoot me in the face? Apparently we are destined to have some Quantum Riddlers. You tried doing everything and nothing all at once. Feel like I've probably tried that and it didn't work out, so. Well, if I'm not going to draw 2 regardless, I might as well just hard cast a Riddler. If people want music, they can listen to music on their own, but they don't. Like, that would be the obvious answer, but they don't. It's constantly like, well, why don't you have the music? Like, I could listen to music on my own, but why don't you have it? Well, question I can't answer for you. So, I mean, like, Spite does it the right way with just no music, like, really easy to just upload stuff wherever you want. All right, I will say this matchup, or this match, as far as I'm concerned, completely lost to Arena of Glory. Like, there were other cards that were cast, but Arena of Glory was the all-star on opponent's side. Feel like the turning point for Teferi. Yeah, but like, if they couldn't haste up that Casey Jones, then my Kaito's still alive and I can pressure the Teferi. Yeah, Teferi's really good, but if they didn't have the Arena to kill off the Kaito, it wouldn't have mattered. But like, Arena soloed game 1, because if they couldn't haste up that Felia, it was on chump block duty, and then if they couldn't haste up the escaped Flage immediately, we would have still been playing. Thundering Falls Commercial District. What is this? Is this like Teamer Storm? Burning Inquiry. All right. Well, let's see what happens. Is this like Arclight, Phoenix, Dredge? Conflagrate's annoying, but they would have to spend... They couldn't kill the Orc Army token. Like, that's what they're gonna do. There is an Arclight Phoenix. I think we are just going to go ahead and second Bowmasters here. Try to put as much damage as possible. Hold up Force Negation. Got a Lava Dart. Faithless Looting. Am I just forcing this Lava Dart? Probably. They don't have another one, so this is probably just like Faithless Looting. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I should have saved it for the Faithless Looting just because they're replacing their draws anyway. Those Bowmasters not triggering. Yeah, I definitely should have saved that for the Faithless Looting. Another chill. You've got Dart, 2 Phoenixes, 3 Phoenixes. Go to game 2. Arclight Dredge. I wonder if it's worth to have like a consign or 2 in just to try to consign Arclight return triggers. That seems a little too lost in the sauce. Frog down. Try to do our best to find some counter spells. Just let them go to their turn. They want to put like an artist talent on the stack. That's fine. If not, we're just going to go after the Otherworldly Gaze. Like, make them cast this now. Besage you. Feel pretty okay with that. Can't say I have Besage you on my radar. Try to find a counter spell or something. Help get this over with. Also pretty good. What's my play here? I definitely don't want to leave them with Artist Talent, Burning Inquiry, so I'm not taking that. I think Artist Talent is just the best take. But then again, I could take Burning Inquiry, and if I take Inquiry, the talent like doesn't really do anything. But I'm kind of thinking if I take Artist Talent, I can Ghost Vacuum the Arclight if they discard it. I think I'm just going to take the Inquiry. Talk myself out of it. Just like if they just cast Artist Talent this turn, it's not doing anything. And then next turn, I've got Subtlety Hardcast on a Arclight Phoenix. If they just want like a blocker for the frog. Is there any line where I kill here? Preordain finds another Quantum Riddler. I'm still one short, so... All right. Opponent, can you win through 3 pieces of interaction? And is Arclight Phoenix unknown? Okay. I prefer Thoughtseize over Tameo on the draw. Try to nab an artist talent. I think the next league I'm going to play something closer to what I would register right now, like my preferred list, and we'll see how they compare. You know what? We're going to roll with it. I've got an answer to an artist talent on the draw. They have a pretty greedy mana base, so there's a chance that Harbinger can just like get the full lockout. It's pretty good off the top. The only bad part about this hand, there's plenty of bad parts about the hand. The biggest bad part about this hand is, one, it is like a little bit slow, but 2, I have to pitch a Harbinger to force a negation, which lets them know that I have Harbinger in my deck, and they might just fetch around that. Opponent takes a natural draw. You have a Faithless Looting. That kind of bites. They hit Arclight, Lava Dart. So my plan is coming unraveled very quickly. They're not going to go for the Arclight. Man, do I go for this thug? I don't think I do. I think I have to save this Ghost Vacuum for Arclight. It's like if I exile the thug, they still have like Faithless or Otherworldly Gaze, Lava Dart, if they hit just like another lava dart, then they just get to do the thing anyway. Oh. Is it gonna happen? His opponent regretting decisions at the moment. Does it matter if I exile a lava dart? I don't think it does. I'll just hit the Arclight. It's like once Harbinger is down, these are islands. And lava dart doesn't matter anymore. Harbinger! You're so good and people still don't play you. All right, so 3-2. We matched Mengu's record with the league, or with the deck. What did we think overall? What's the current modern breakdown at the moment? Okay, so pros and cons of the list. Pros, you get to play all the cards that I think are like really good in modern. You get some number of Kaitos, you get Bowmasters, you get Psychic Frog, you get Quantum Riddler. The big con, I think, is the cuts I feel like are not in the right places. So, for example, cutting the 4th counter spell in the 3rd Force Negation were both very relevant against the Eldrazi matchups. Cutting counterspell is relevant against Jeskai Blink, which they also cut a Mystical Dispute in the side, which is also good against Jeskai Blink. Cutting Force is good into Blink, and it's good into like Boros, but you're going up on Thoughtseize, which makes it a little more awkward into Boros, and you're up on Tamios heavily, which is bad into Boros. So, I don't know. I'm not really sure. It feels like the epitome of a list that is trying to be 50% into everything, but by doing so has kind of like cut into the ability to have good matches, if that makes sense.